What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, May 9th. I think you all know what that means. It's Throwback Thursday. I'm Clark Taylor. Stoked to be here. Dynamite last night. We are going to break down without question. I have one particular spot I cannot wait to get into because it's the most disappointed I've been in a Dynamite spot in a long time, but that's neither here nor there. Before we do so, I'm going to send this one out to Philadelphia, head of opinions, resident historian, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you doing on this Thursday? I know you got big plans tonight, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long week. Looking forward to talking about some wrestling, and it should be fun, as it always is.
Absolutely. I can't wait to get into it. But before we do, we can't without our other co-host riding with us this afternoon, evening, morning, depending on where you are watching this right now. But the Tuesday Night Delight on a Thursday. Get the twos up from the DMV. Shoddy.
What's good with y'all, fellas, man? It is Thursday. It's Friday Eve. It ain't even Thursday. It is Friday Eve because we in the evening time of it. We're going to enjoy our weekends. We're going to watch SmackDown. We're going to watch Collision. Or we're not going to watch any wrestling, enjoy the week of watching wrestling. But I'm excited, man. Dynamite was a pretty good show last night, I would have to say. And the topic today is near and dear to my heart for Throwback. So let's get into it.
Yes, that throwback topic. I cannot
Twos for my boy David Modge, by the way, man.
David Modge throwing his twos up as usual. David, thank you for tuning in. My mom, I believe, is actually even throwing her twos up as well there.
Yeah.
And then
Lori Taylor is throwing the twos up because she's a Tuesday night fan.
She knows.
Yeah.
And then Josh Markowitz with all I'm going to say is that I called that we would get a Team AEW versus Elite on Daily 2 weeks ago.
Look at my young boy, the rookie.
Gambling Josh.
Boy, right? My man is the Cooper DeJean of Wrestling Republic, man.
Yes.
Put some
Be careful
respect on
taking
his
too
name.
much credit, though. He just did send me the assignment that I have for his mentorship write-up. So, if you want to be plus, Josh, I might get cocky about the calls you make.
When did Clark become Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World?
I did. My mom, by the way, also just added high shot, shouted out. And then the Cooper DeJean of WR, Josh is loving it.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, let's get into this first match, though, because this is going to be my one complaint about last night's Dynamite, my one little point. When in the world did Orange Cassidy become Clark Kent? And I'm a huge Orange Cassidy fan. I never criticize Orange Cassidy, but he got Spike piledrivered on steps and popped back up like he took one of those Eddie Kingston machine gun chops.
So bad.
It was like, dude, please. Like, I love Orange Cassidy and so much that goes into the character. But one thing I've never thought when I see Orange Cassidy is the toughest guy in the room. Like, yes, he's tough, but like, stand right up. It was like a bad version of the classic one kick out at one.
Yeah.
You're like, please, no, stay down longer.
Nah, it's not even about him. It's just I don't think any person should just kick out of that move. Like that's a pile driver on steel steps. You should literally in kayfabe be like
unconscious.
Like at that point, yeah.
Yes,
like
David Modge just said it. He knows holding like crazy. Yeah, it sucks because I love Orange Cassidy. I loved The Best Friends. It's my Christmas t-shirt, my favorite Christmas t-shirt. Another shout out to my mom. It was one of the best Christmas gifts I've gotten in a long time. Awesome t-shirt. Wear it all the time. Sad to see them break up, but like Spike piledriver on the steps, you can't just stand up from. It doesn't make sense to me. Anthony, I got to ask you about the match, though. I mean, the rivalry's fun. Do you think it's over here, or is there anything beyond this that we see between Trent and OC?
As a whole, I'm not superly invested in this because a lot of it doesn't much sense. You have Orange Cassidy in this weird relationship with Don Callis, which makes no sense because Orange is supposed to be the babyface in here, and we all know Don's a heel. So why is he the one with the heel manager? It doesn't make any sense going into it. Then you have the problem, and this is a problem in wrestling as a whole, but especially in AEW, where people don't sell moves. And like you said, you got pile driven onto the steel steps. They should have been stretching you out. That would have added some sympathy for you. But instead, you popped up like it was nothing. Like the Superman punch went to your head, and now you think you are. So I think that's a problem. Like Trent's the heel, but it's not being sold. So I don't think it's working the way they're planning on it, because Orange needs to be down. He needs to be stretchered out, whatever. No selling it and having a heel manager makes this whole thing look amateurish at best. It's not good. I don't. This should be compelling because the best friends broke up.
Yes.
He quote unquote ended Chuck's career.
He did.
Again, it's the little things that AEW gets stuck with, where it doesn't make any sense, and then it kills the whole story. And I feel like that's what happened last night.
Yeah, it's one of those where, and I think it's funny because the Callis factor, you made a great point there. I think the real babyface in this whole story is Trent's mom, Sue. And I'm hoping she comes and saves us from all of this. Maybe even wrestles Nick Wayne's mom at All In. I think that would be an outstanding
She'll also
matchup.
sell the pile driver on the steps.
Dude, I'm just telling you, man, the dedication to bring your son and his friends to the show in your minivan. Think about the gas money Sue spent getting the best friends to Daly's place.
And the snacks.
Can she
all the
just
snacks.
can she just do a drive-by with a Nerf gun out of her van? Like, I think that would probably be the best thing that she needs to do. Or a paintball gun. Right? Maybe that may be a little more violent, but yeah.
So would she be the new Judy Bagwell for this generation?
No, I think she's a little bit
better. Are they going to compete?
I think she's
with
better
her on
than
forklift?
Judy in a way.
Are they going to?
She's got a little bit. She's got a little bit more oomph than Judy. I think she's got a little more charisma.
Judy's a former tag champ.
That's true.
You know what? Maybe we need. All right, Sue or Shelton Benjamin's mom. Who's winning in the street fight?
Triple threat street fight. Shelton's mama, Sue, Nick Wayne's mom. All in.
I mean, if this was the Russo era, they would be fighting each other with the title to the minivan.
One of them would be TBS champion by now. Let's just put it that way. There'd be almost no doubt they wouldn't even have the other stuff going. But Sean, I got to ask you about the match too. So one thought that I did have is, look, I mean, if the spike pile driver happens after Orange steals the victory, then we extend this, show the viciousness of Trent. Why couldn't we have just flipped the order of things happening? And then to Anthony's point, the stretcher spot, that would have made a lot of sense. What do you think about that, Shad?
So I thought it was a well wrestled match besides, the little things, which I won't call it little things because they are bigger when you do put it in perspective. But my whole issue is just the storyline itself. I don't see any reason to make Trent Beretta a heel or make Trent Beretta a single superstar. Matter of fact, AEW needs more tag teams than they need individual superstars. So there isn't a lot of benefit with this storyline and breakup, in my opinion. To what you said earlier, it is the thing that it's the gift and the curse of Orange Cassidy. He is one of the most unserious characters where you can try to get away with elements like that, but it's to a point where we've had him as champion for so long with that international title and just wheeling out victories, and it doesn't benefit him. And it's come to a point, and I hate to say this, bro, it makes me feel bad because Orange Cassidy is one of my favorite people in AEW. We need to miss Orange Cassidy again. Orange Cassidy could have benefited, to what Anthony's point is, by being written off. Instead of Chuck being written off, Orange Cassidy could have benefited being written off. And it could have benefited Trent Beretta winning or losing and taking him out and injuring him after that spot and having him written off for a few months, because the fans are not missing Orange Cassidy no more. We got an OP guy that is just beating everybody, winning matches he shouldn't, in theory, win. Because a loss doesn't affect him at the end of the day. He's Teflon. Like, his character being what it is, he can eat an L. Trent's the one who needs to win if you're trying to establish him as a single star. But I can't take him serious as a single star because he's taking loss upon loss upon loss. So it's a real cluster of a storyline. You add Don Callis to it, I think it's going to find its way to what I just said, with OC maybe getting kicked out of this and Trent joining the Callis family. But like I said, I don't see Trenny Locks as a viable heel, and I don't know, man. It's weird. Like I don't think it's one of those situations where you got to kind of weigh out the options, right? What holds more weight? The Best Friends as a tag team, or Trent Beretta as a single star? I feel like the weight kind of on that scale would lean towards the Best Friends being a tag team. I don't think Trent's shelf life as a single superstar is that powerful for a few reasons. One, good in-ring wrestler, doesn't have a bad look, but he's boring. He's not captivating. He's not captivating the room as a single star, man. I'm sorry. Like it's not gonna work. Plus, there's a lot more people on the totem pole that are more captivating and better in-ring wrestlers than him as a single star. If anything, he's gonna be a jobber in the singles division, and I would rather him be in a tag team because I think that only benefits him. We say the same thing about Kyle Fletcher. I don't see too much of a difference in Trent Beretta. Maybe more of a, more established, has more of a oomph to him, but still, I would rather keep him in a faction. But yeah,
That's where you know who Trent really reminds me of a lot is, and I have an immense respect for this dude, so don't like lose your minds when I say it, but Frankie Kazarian. Frankie Kazarian is so talented and so dang good, and he's got so much going for him. But I did always feel like his best work was in a faction, in a tag team, and that's where he was at his most effective. Also,
a good hand, not exactly
when they
star.
When they broke him up, and then he was doing that weird like elite hunter thing, and then after that was done, he was lost in the sauce.
When think about how great SCU was, no matter who he was tagging
Incredible.
with in that group. I loved it. It's SoCal Uncensored, no question. We've got a ton of comments to run through. We got Coach 23 with what up, Catman, Breadman, and Spidey. That cracks me up. Absolutely. What's going on, Coach 23? Good to have you as always. And then we started something in the comments here. This cracked me up. Number one super flyer, good friend of the show, with Give Us Battle of the Mamas.
Hey, you know what Sunday is, man. I'm gonna have Ben make the graphic for that triple threat match.
And then David Modge said, "I still want Mama Rhodes versus Mama Reigns." Who doesn't?
That's a good one too. She's right, but I still got Shelton Benjamin's mom wiping the floor with all of them.
All of them. She's all time
like that.
And then Crystal Claire with yesterday during the taping of ROH, a fan was ejected for harassing Sky Blue during her ouch. I mean, against Rachel Ellering, that's terrible.
I will say this, Crystal Claire. I saw that on Twitter earlier today, or X, and it is absolutely disgusting. Respect women for what they do. You don't need to act like a pig in the stands harassing her. She's a person at the end of the day. She's there to do her job. That is not respectful. Sky Blue's an immense talent, an incredible competitor. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
100%. We also have Coach 23 with it. It's weird when Trent is the obvious heel, then Cal's is trying to align with OC. Cal's family is the new mogul embassy where Swerve is a face in a group of heels. See, I think this is where Sue needs to step in, be the moral compass.
I like Don Callis. I just don't think they've picked the right people for the Callis family.
Yes.
I think they've Nothing is wrong with Callis. Callis has been money since he's gotten to AEW. The stuff with Kenny, like as him as champion, Callis is gold. They just picked the wrong people, except for Konosuke Takeshita. They just pick people that don't match what works as a unit. Like, but I mean, yeah.
They don't feel like a real team. He also added David Modge
Sorry,
added
Kyle Fletcher.
Don Callis coming out was funny, and then he said, "I always like seeing Don Callis." Now I love Don Callis. He
He's
gets me every
great.
time. I called him a
Yeah,
slime ball in Chicago, and he winked at me, and it was one of the funniest moments of
amazing.
sitting ringside at pro wrestling ever.
And
Because he
was
just got
good.
this big grin on his face, like I got you.
And he was good on commentary yesterday too.
Oh, he's always so good on commentary. I could not agree more. We've got a bunch more comments though. That I got to skip the next one. I was going to read it, but I realized we don't curse on this show. Sorry, guys. David, you're the man, but can't read that one. Let's actually move on to our next topic, though. Let's talk about Serena Deeb and Tony Storm. Speaking of the comment, Tony with the big cheers, with the cheers, glasses raised high from the fans. Basically, they were loving Tony Storm. She the baby face now? Has she gotten so good at playing this character? She's about to become a babyface champion. And that's one thing we've discussed. Like AEW does some funky stuff and does a lot of listening to the crowd. The crowd was very much behind Tony Storm during this segment.
Because nobody cares about Serena Deeb.
Well,
I mean, it's a whole
I don't know,
comparison between the two.
I thought she got a good crowd reaction when she was talking about, the kind of things that she's overcome in her part of the promo and whatnot. But Tony Storm's undeniable. And I thought they made a great adjustment, basically mid-promo, where Tony was allowed to be cheered by the fans in a way that I don't think was the initial plan. And I actually respect the way that this one went down. Sean, I'm going to ask you about it. What do you think, Deeb, Storm? Everyone knows Serena can go bell to bell. So this match should be excellent. But it is interesting. It does feel like with the depth of this women's division, there's a few other names you might think of before Serena Deeb when it comes to a Tony Storm challenger.
I don't have a problem with Serena Deeb being the competitor for Tony Storm, just off of namesake. The issue I would have is how we got here. If we are talking about someone who hasn't, been prevalent on television, we haven't seen her for a while. It is Serena Deeb, but I will respect her for, filling in the gaps of that and telling her story. She is supposed to be the baby face in this situation. Tony Storm, in character, in kayfabe, is a heel, but it's not going to matter. It's the same case we've seen with Rhea Ripley going against competition. She's a heel, but she's just so darn over, and people are eating out the palm of her hand. And it's going to happen against competitors like a Serena Deeb, who, one, love her to death, man. Incredible in-ring wrestler. People call her the Dean Malenko of women's wrestling. Bell for bell can go, but not captivating as a character. Also, hasn't been present for a respected reason. Salute to her for going what she's had to go through a medical, but the crowd hasn't seen her, and she hasn't been a character that's going to keep you engaged to care that much. I do think the story is intriguing, and I do think the match is going to be great for bell. It's a filler opponent for Tony to keep building on this title reign, to get an opportunity to wrestle at the pay-per-view. I don't have any problems with that. But I do worry about Serena Deeb for the future because I think she is better as a heel. She doesn't have a babyface personality, and no, I don't want to say this in a mean way. People somewhat, cared about when she was talking about what she was going through, but they didn't care that much. And before she said that, they did not care at all. They were chanting hockey statements or
hockey chants
and whatnot, and it's gonna be one of those things where how many more heels do we need in this division? You don't need that many heels. Her best bet might, if you want to create an identity with ROH, that may be the woman to be the face of ROH, just because she is a technical wizard. But in regards to her versus Tony Storm, it progresses the feud. It is definitely, and I will talk about it later, the TBS feud AEW World Feud. You see the difference? This is the TBS.
Yeah.
This is what there is a complete difference amount of interest.
Yeah, that
I don't
one's a
have that
no
much interest.
contest.
I don't have any interest in this feud that much. I think it's been built decently. I don't care too much because I know what's going to happen. The other one, I'm fully invested, but we'll get into that later.
100%. Although I will say over on the Instagram comments, we have David_Garcia with, I think Toni Storm is by far the best actor on AEW TV right now. That's actually a hard argument to disagree with, though. She's pretty dang good.
I disagree.
I wouldn't say by far, but I think there's an argument to be made that she is the best character, finger quotes character, like just purely character.
Character, sure, but I don't even think she's the best women's wrestler in that division. But
no, I agree with that, right? But see, that's separate convo for sure.
No, just total package though. I'm gonna get to that later. Don't worry about my fault.
For sure. But with the timeless thing, I think character-wise, she's doing as good a work as we've seen in a long time when it comes to like completely diving into a persona.
Yeah. Well, what's the shelf life of that? It's gonna run its course at some point.
It's a very good point.
Yeah.
Okay, we got another good one from Coach 23 here, and he said the AEW live audience is always funky. It seems like the arena fans are playing a game of pass the message where one fan will tell the next fan to cheer for a wrestler. And I really want to address this one myself because that does make a ton of sense. And I've seen spots like that, including the one that we just discussed, where it very much feels like that. But I will say, like an example on the other side, and just for fodder, I'm not trying to argue against that scenario that was just presented by Coach 23. I'll pull it back up again. Does very much exist for our video listeners. Sorry about that. But for me, the best example is the Acclaimed at All Out a couple of years back. The Acclaimed were heels, but that Chicago crowd, that was organic, and it felt organic, way organic. The crowd really did get behind the Acclaimed from not just the start of that match, but midway through especially. And it didn't necessarily feel like out of left field. It felt like it built in a way, but not in like a pass the message way, in like a, wow, these guys are better than we realized way. And so I do think there is some positives and some negatives when it comes to that aspect. It's a hardcore audience. It is right now. If you look at who's buying tickets to AEW, it's not let's go see the random wrestling show people. It's people that are watching week in and week out. That's who goes to the shows. So you're going to see a little bit different than you're going to see with WWE, and that's not good or bad. I think it doesn't matter necessarily, right? You're going to have a few more corporate sponsors
that you're handed.
You're going to have a few more corporate sponsors in the building for WWE. And the crowd's going to cheer the good guys more consistently, right? You see a lot less finger quotes hijacking from the crowd in WWE, right? Like you don't see it as often as you do in AEW.
I don't know, bro, because I hear the what chants like crazy.
You definitely see it on occasion.
I mean, Clark,
it happens. It happens. I would just say slightly less often.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the main event of WrestleMania changed because fans rallied against what they were going to get?
Very true. Very true. You see it, but remember those very special occasions. When that kind of happens, and we've also got over on Instagram, Moss_EE_boy with AEW is the worst commentary, and then boo. I'm like, Shivani and Jim Ross are both Hall of Famers. Knock that off. Stop it. The commentary's fine. It's not commentary's fault. Commentary's good. Like they have immense talent on commentary. They're even Excalibur, I think, is very good at his job.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. I think for sure. And then I think Nigel McGuinness has gotten better and better every week. I think he fits this product really well too. Underrated. Not everybody sees him, but he's good. Also, speaking of good, let's talk about our partners over at Next Level. Where did it go here? It's I found it. We're back. All right. Let's talk about Next Level. It's awesome. If you've ever thought like, hey, I want to see a bunch more Wrestling Republic content or just wrestling content in general, any kind of content, download the Next Level app. It's absolutely free. Sign up. Go to our Connect link. Go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all of our content across all platforms. linked all in the same spot. Super convenient, uber convenient, and better yet, while you're there, absolutely free, no gimmicks, you might win. Trust me, we sent people to WrestleMania and 2 copies of the WrestleMania edition of 2K24. And if you're looking for, I don't know, $100 free to WWE shop, sign up for the contest right now. Limited time only. You could totally win. We will announce the winner as soon as possible. But I mean, who doesn't want $100 at WWE shop? If there's that shirt you didn't get, go get it. Action figures, all that good stuff. WWE shop is electric.
Buying $100 worth of Tiffany Stratton gear for sure.
There you go. Basically, you get and you basically get half off replica belts if that's what you're looking at too. Like, there is so many choices over on WWE shop. Great stuff. Enter the contest, nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic. Check it out. It's great. And free. Who doesn't like free? Let's talk about another segment though. Let's talk about the patriarchy, or the patriarch, I guess, if I'm going to be grammatically correct here. Christian Cage. Talk about heel work. This guy is a savage. And him and Swerve face to face for the first time last night. I'm excited. What a choice for Swerve's first defense. I loved this. Anthony, your thoughts on the rivalry? How excited are you for the match?
Like I said last week, I think Christian is the perfect person to be the first rival for Swerve, whether this is a one-off or they drag it out over a series of matches. I think either one could work. Christian knows how to play that heel better than pretty much anybody and could really help get a new champion, babyface champion, over. The aspect of Christian going, I am going to take something from you every week, is a brilliant thing to do. One of the things that was mentioned last week by Shad, where was the Mogul Embassy? And I said they probably got directions to Dynamite from the same person that gave Veer directions to Raw. Apparently they found Dynamite enough to do the turn on Swerve, and now they'll probably go back to obscurity behind the paywall of Ring of Honor, the wasteland, where all talent goes to just disappear, unless they continue to be on TV until this Swerve thing's over. With Christian, but I think it's an interesting story. I'm curious to see where it goes from here. And I think, like I said, I think this is going. It should pay off. It should be a nice payoff feud.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, dude, Christian is doing arguably his best mic work of his whole career. Am I the only one that thinks that? Like, honestly, like.
And he always had this in him.
He's always been good and had it in him, but just the execution is like,
I think
off the charts.
I think at this point, they always say the best characters are the ones that are closest to yourself, just turned up. Edge has said multiple times over the years, Christian's a bit of a dick. So I think essentially he's playing that role. Maybe not even turned up, but, I think that's why he's found his sweet spot.
Absolutely. Coach 23 said, this is Christian's best persona since the Instant Classic in TNA. His patriarch character is petty for pettiness sake, and I love it. Yes, me too. Daz Reynolds added a weird question here, but I actually like it a lot. Welcome to the show, my friend. What do you think could happen next pay-per-view? Could Kenny or Hangman be on a team in AEW? I never thought I'd say this.
It won't be for a while.
I never thought I'd say this, but I do think down the road, if Kenny's cleared, that reunion against the Elite is definitively possible. Yeah. I did not I thought that chapter of AEW was long written, is I guess the way that I would say it. Sure. Let's talk about the TBS championship, though. Let's talk about Willow Nightingale. I love that you can't physically, she's not feeling great, but you can't wipe that smile off her face, Shoddy. The ultimate baby face. If you don't like Willow Nightingale, what do you like? I say it every time. I don't understand, because she's the most likable women's wrestler in my eyes. Like, everything about her is fun and genuine. I think she's just that person that lights up a room when she walks in it. She is the most fun one at a party. She is always the one that the shoulder there if you're having a tough day. Like everything about Willow comes across as genuine in a way, and you can't even describe it outside of just pure charisma. It's outstanding to me, and I love that she's been put in this position to have a rivalry with somebody the caliber of Mercedes Moné, who can be so sadistic, so cold and calculated, so the polar opposite of all of those things that I just mentioned. And then the juxtaposition of being the smaller wrestler. And we've always heard Mercedes talk about Eddie Guerrero, looking up to Eddie Guerrero. And I think that's what made Eddie Guerrero so great. And this rivalry, to me, puts that on full display. I cannot wait for this payoff. I cannot wait. Here's the question. Do you still think it's a guarantee Mercedes goes over when this match happens, Shotty?
Let me get this out the way first before I answer your question. There is only two people that I can think of being the best baby faces in professional wrestling in this current time. That is Cody Rhodes and that is Willow Nightingale. I think she is neck and neck with Cody Rhodes as one of the best baby faces in professional wrestling. That goes WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, you name it. She is up there, and that is 100% all on how great she is as a professional wrestler and also as a character. She has one of the most fiery passions that I've seen out of a women's wrestler. And I think she is the best wrestler that she's the best women's wrestler on AEW. She's better than Tony Storm by miles, by miles.
Okay.
In ring and character wise. It's not gimmicky, it's authentic. It is someone that you want to get behind. And oh my goodness, let's strap the rocket on her for years to come because she can lead that division for a while. I haven't felt this much like positivity towards a women's superstar on a roster than I have since Bianca Belair a few years ago when she got her moment versus Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. And that's where we get to here. I don't think Willow needs to win at Double or Nothing. I think this can only extend the greatness of a babyface that she is. I don't think this feud needs to end after Double or Nothing. I think what needs to happen is Mercedes needs to go full on heel, connive her way to get that victory and that title off of Willow Nightingale. Because what only adds elements to a babyface when they get done dirty and when they got to fight to beat the bad guy. And she's got to fight to beat the bad guy at the end of the road because that is the third time. They had the first time where she beat her. This will be the second time. Third time is when Willow gets her comeuppance. I think Mercedes should beat Willow at Double or Nothing so we can extend this. And I also think this is what should happen. I think Chris Statlander should turn on Willow.
Ooh.
And I think she should align with Mercedes Moné and be Mercedes Moné's heavy.
Muscle.
Yeah, be her muscle at the end of the day. You know, feel the jealous friend. Work that way. Because Mercedes plays better as a heel. This babyface stuff hasn't been working. Willow has been smoking her on the microphone week upon week upon week. I hate to say it, but it's true. Even last night between both of their backstage promos, Willow's was significantly better than her. She has been low-key carrying this feud thus far, but that doesn't mean that Mercedes just got to show what she can do once her character is aligned and once she's in the ring. I think we got a potential all-time feud between these two women. I think this is going to be something that's going to be great. And yeah, Willow, I got Mercedes losing as a Willow stan. I'm hoping she wins, but I think she is going to lose to Mercedes, and I think this is an extended feud, bro.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm with you, although I hope Willow pulls the upset. I will say, Coach 23's got a comment here. He said, Cody and Willow have this trait that when fans start to boo them, they can turn them back to cheering them.
Cheering them.
Sorry. I said what I thought
thing,
the first time.
No, they have the capability of just being authentic and organic that makes you want to root for them. Like her promo last night was sensational. Like her promo in the Joe video package of him in the dojo was my two favorite things of last night's episode. And yeah, she's got, like I said, This feud is up in the sky. The other feud is kind of dangling on the ground for my interest.
This to me is the better of the two feuds, but I am still a diehard Tony Storm fan. I'm hoping we get Tony and Dr. Britt across the summer. That's just as a fan to be able to like elevate both parts of the division, I guess I would say, both titles. But let's talk about another match, the TNT Championship. Adam Copeland, the artist formerly known as Edge, retains the title against Brody King, who I think might be the most underrated male wrestler on Television Weekly. This dude is gigantic. Looks like he was out of a movie. He looks like a made-up character. Speaking of characters and genuine, he looks so intimidating. He is the last dude you would want to be looking down at your cell phone and accidentally shoulder check walking by at a crowded bar. Like that is who Brody King is. But he moves like a ballerina, and I mean that as a compliment. The guy is agile for someone that size in a way that's really hard to quantify. And I thought he was unbelievable in this match because he's usually on the other side of somebody. Edge is a great athlete. This is no knock on Adam Copeland's athleticism, but he is older. He's not the athlete he once was. Brody King played the athlete on the other side of Adam Copeland in my eyes last night, and that was impressive. The speed at which he operates blows me away. The right guy got the win. I like the KOR and Copeland stuff because I hope it's going to link back around eventually, and everybody gets in a big mush storyline with the return of Adam Cole, the return of, you know what I mean? Everybody sort of gets into a big thing there. This is sort of just the beginning, but I really enjoyed the match, and I'm starting to enjoy even further Copeland taking over that role as a veteran in a way. Cody Rhodes, who we just discussed a few seconds ago, right? He had this role at one point with the TNT title and the Open Challenge, right? We've seen it a lot of times. Cody was in a different point in his career. Adam Copeland is in the right spot in his career to have an Open Challenge like this and see these matches organically. As much as I love the retirement tour from Bryan Danielson, Copeland is working week in and week out against different talent. And it's kind of like, but we don't realize that might be why. And I like that a lot. I like the way that this has come about. It feels at least a little organic. And Copeland is one of the few people, I think, in all of wrestling that can pull off the gimmick. What did you think of the match last night and the run as a whole, Anthony? And if you got any in your head, list of potential opponents for this Open Challenge thing that you would love to see face Adam Copeland?
I think the difference between this and Danielson's is, quite frankly, I know Danielson said that he's going to retire within the next 2 years. I don't know if that's going to hold, because even that, I think he's sort of backtracking with. Copeland, it's a weird situation because we don't know how much time he has left. He's on borrowed time to begin with. So is Danielson in a lot of ways, but Copeland especially. So anytime he's in there, like I said last week, I would prefer that if you're using him in a way that it makes sense and not just to use him just for the sake of using him. I thought last night was a nice showing with Brody King. Brody is one of those talents that I saw. First time I saw him was in the old Ring of Honor, and he was just on the cusp that looked like they were going to do something with him singles wise. Then it gets bought out. AEW, same thing. He's a henchman. Like he's not. They had him win a battle royal before in an impressive fashion. Didn't pull the trigger. I don't know why everyone seems to be afraid to pull the trigger with Brody and to actually get behind him. I thought that was a nice showing last night. Yeah, Adam won, but he won while making Brody look stronger, which is the smart thing. The only negative that I would say about this match, and it's a slight thing, and I don't think many people would have noticed, I thought it was a bit of a questionable move for Adam, and I know he's done it before, but because of the location, I was a little surprised that he would do a crossface in Edmonton, knowing who that move is synonymous with. I know he's used it before. It's not that big of a deal, but as a whole, I'm like, just from a PR standpoint, if anybody pointed that out, it may become a thing. But as a whole, I thought it was solid. And, you're going to see Adam against Kyle O'Reilly. And this is the role Adam's built for, actually getting younger talent over. This is what Jericho thinks he's doing, but Adam's actually doing it.
Sorry about that. Excuse me. That makes a ton of sense, and I hear you there. I like the subtle shot of Jericho. I get it.
The learning tree.
The learning tree. But I will say, yeah, dude, Brody was awesome. I love that you mentioned Kyle as the potential opponent too. Do you have any others that you would like?
Oh yeah, the other part of the question. Osprey would be the obvious one.
Yeah, that would be a fun one to see.
To me, that is, I would do that. If you're not going to do Swerve Osprey at All In, I would do Edge and Osprey for the TNT.
This is kind of a weird one, but I actually it's a completely separate rivalry, but in a different alternate universe, would love to see Jack Perry and Edge and Copeland.
Hangman as well.
Hangman oh, that's a great one.
Because I could see a buckshot into a spear.
Yeah, will be really cool. Very, very, very cool. Let's move on to a match though that was announced last night. We're talking about the newly christened Elite. Little different than maybe we expected, against FTR. Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston. I like it a lot. I liked the stare down. I'm definitely excited about it. With Kingston's involvement, though, where's Moxley in this? I mean, I don't get it. We had the Blackpool Combat Club to feud with the Elite. We just kind of threw FTR in there. They're definitely not in the Blackpool Combat Club. Also, nobody from the Blackpool Combat Club is from Blackpool. Interesting fact, as we are UK based here at WR. Just saying, not anymore. I'm excited about the match, but I was also a little like, I feels a little too WCW versus NWO-ish to me. And, like, why are they all friends? Why do they get along all of a sudden? Shad, I'm gonna ask you about it, dude. Obviously, it'll be a fun match, but why?
Yeah, I mean, the match on paper is sensational. You have 8 of the best competitors on the roster, streamlined and tied to a match, and it's going to be fun. Those Anarchy matches are always a blast. A lot of chaos goes towards it. But to your point, I don't like the build at all, for a few reasons. One, what is Danielson's role? The Blackpool Combat Club, are they baby faces or are they heels, right? Like, they come as rugged. They've feud against baby faces on the roster. They're tweeners, but you're putting him as you're trying to assemble the Avengers, and there hasn't really been a story told to it. It's just, oh, these are the two guys, and it being Danielson, who's one of the top guys. Why is Danielson there? Why can't we tell the story of Danielson being close to Tony Khan, right? Like, that would make sense. Like, there's ways to make it make sense. It just wasn't presented to make sense. And I don't know why he's here. That's my problem. Kingston, he's kind of the same way. Like, he's a babyface because the fans love him, but he's got trust issues. He don't like anybody.
Yeah.
Like, what is his reason to like FTR?
Why does he join all these teams?
I know, like, I get it. Eddie Kingston is like the godfather of these matches. He's always in them. He does the best work in it, and he's gonna look great. He's gonna look crazy, all that. He's like a Kevin Owens of AEW in a sense. Like, you put him in these crazy matches because he's gonna show his behind and he's gonna make his people in the match look good. But why are we here for? So that I do agree with you on that. That's the issue with it, though, more so. Like, I feel like Tony being a figure on TV and feuding with the EVPs, or even Kenny, like, they could have done more to it with the show. Like, I love how the EVPs are presented. I love that they're able to kind of, play the master hand and the puppeteers and go with these different feuds because they are running the show while TK is out. But Kenny's also EVP. Kenny should be able to puppeteer his way to go against them. I feel like it was just forced, rushed, and it was a little bit of lazy booking. In regards to the match, it's gonna be stellar. I can't complain about that. I'm very intrigued to see who is going to win because I feel like it should be a no-brainer that the EVPs and the Golden Elite win. Um, I feel like they have a very long shelf life, and I feel like you have a strong possibility to build a guy like a Jack Perry as a main stage heel on your roster, as well as an Okada who's not better than Tiffany Stratton any facet of professional wrestling. But yeah, I'm good for it.
I am too. I truly was excited about it. And I think also Kenny from the hospital bed was cool as could be. Numero and Superfly has a comment here. He said, was so wrong about Kenny's announcement. I apologize for making jokes about the announcing an announcement, but I can't help it. Brian should turn on Team AEW to tie in his position backstage. That would be hilarious. But also numero one, don't you worry in the least. This is a fun place where we talk about wrestling. I found it hilarious yesterday. It's no big deal in the least. Always let the jokes fly. I'm joking half the time anyway. We're talking about professional wrestling because we all love it, and that's what we're here for. It's to have fun. So never apologize for joking around. You're all good, man. It's all good. Anthony, your quick opinion before we get into throwback.
Yeah. As a whole, just I said last week that I thought AEW did the right thing of explaining how the Bucks weren't fired. That was consistent. That was quality storytelling. To Shad's point, that's where they lost the consistency, because now you're at the point, okay, Tony can't fire them. Why is he not fining them or punishing them in other ways? He still controls the company. They should have filled that void by pulling something out of the card of going, oh, their founder's clause. They're only required to wrestle once a month, or they could. You need to build something, even if they had lawyers that have pretty much barred Tony from or Shad from appearing on AEW or having any control of the company. They made a hostile work environment or some story to explain why Tony's not there. Because the problem is, you're saying he's not there, but then yet Tony was a part of the Anarchy thing, or Kenny was. Like, they need to eliminate everyone else to let the Bucks run wild to get to this point. And I get the Team AEW, they all have history with them, but it's very much like you said, Clark, WCW, in the sense of when WWE bought WCW and that was Team WCW, it wasn't the real. This is not, if you're assembling a Team AEW, this ain't it. I think it's going to be a great match, but this doesn't epitomize AEW to me, these four guys.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun match, but I hear where you're coming from. I think it's one of those deals where, like, Kenny obviously is diverticulitis is no joke.
Injuries, I get it. Yeah.
I love the idea of the pile driver being the reason that Tony can't be in Canada, and the neck brace and everything. To your point, I would have liked to have seen one more Tony appearance. Like, let's hear from Kenny Omega, because I still can't be there and neither can he.
No. You need to explain why the Bucks haven't been punished. They can't be fired, but that doesn't mean you can't do something else to them. You need to fill that gap.
I think this was Kenny trying as close as he can to punishing him.
Hold up, but here's one thing, right? It doesn't take a whole lot. Like, the swerve storyline with the Bucks that led to Christian. All it was what you did was a female dog move to Tony Khan. And we already established that they have issues. All you had to do was Eddie Kingston approaches Okada, Jack Perry, the Bucks. What you did to TK, like, how are you going to do that there? Danielson, you wrong for that. It's not even that. It's not some, like, hidden news.
A couple lines.
It's not hidden news. TK has made it public news that Danielson is next to kin with running the show for AEW. Just explain that, and then it makes perfect sense. I don't need like a week-long bill for that. just a couple tidbits, and we're good to go.
It's
Last night,
it's the little things. It's the little things they miss on.
That's all. Like it's not a world beater, but it does take away from the excitement for it. Like I'm gonna be excited because I love the names of the match, but it can only elevate it if you explain the story and how we got here a lot better.
Absolutely. Okay. It is Throwback Thursday. As promised, though, let's get right into Throwback because it may be May 9th, but May 7th is a very special birthday. In my eyes, not to be controversial, the most talented wrestler from the Hart family, Owen Hart. Happy heavenly birthday. Absolutely. Anthony, our resident historian, talk to me about your favorite memories of Owen Hart. Let's wish him that happy B-Day.
Yeah, my first experience with Owen, unfortunately, was during that period, the last year, for him. And I always fondly remember, Triple H has a lot of iconic rivals. Shawn's always mentioned, Austin, Rock, Foley. I think Owen is one of those underrated great rivals for him because I remember his feud with the European title and Owen, and it made sense because they were essentially the second people, the lieutenants, if you will, in the army of DX against the Hart Foundation, Shawn and Brett. Owen being the younger brother would make sense to match up with a guy that was like a brother to Shawn, which was Triple H. Owen was so good at what he did, and that's just why Owen is so fondly remembered as one of the greatest to never be a world champion. There was always a debate, would Owen have won the WWF championship if he had lived? And the fact that we lost him 25 years ago was still insane to me that it's been that long. But Owen could have a great match with anybody. Shawn Michaels, who's considered by many as the GOAT in that ring, he was asked, because as he's somebody that has wrestled both Brett and Shawn, which one did he think was better? And Shawn said, I think Owen was better. Owen was more versatile. Brett, he could structure a great match, but he had a certain way that he did matches. Owen would do anything essentially. And, just such a phenomenal talent that we lost way too soon. And just, it's just classics. Everything he's been in was always entertaining.
So true. It is unbelievable. And Coach 23 in the comments here added Owen Hart was the most entertaining member of the Hart family.
Mm-hmm.
That one I think is almost non-negotiable. I couldn't agree more. And then he said the European title feud was so underrated. I loved Owen's Soul Survivor / Blackheart character.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely shoddy. Owen, Kemper Arena in Kansas City, unfortunately, where he passed away. University of Kansas Jayhawks did win the '88 national championship in that very same venue, though. So I've got mixed feelings when it comes to that. But Owen Hart, one of my favorites of all time, and I'll go back to it. His match with Brett, he got the best out of Brett, I think, which is the craziest to me. And you could actually see, this is going to sound kind of gnarly and off the wall, but like older brother, younger brother, and you had the free-spirited one versus the disciplined one, and they're both super talented and both sublime at their craft. And the way that those two styles gelled, it is just like, I don't know if we'll ever see something like that again in professional wrestling when it comes to like siblings and rivalry and all of that. Owen Hart, what could have been and what was, are equally outstanding. Shad, I gotta ask you your memories though of Owen Hart.
Yeah, I mean, I have an older brother who's 10 years older than me, and he grew up watching, the late 80s, early 90s professional wrestling, WWE, and he was a huge Owen Hart and Bret Hart fan, but he was a big fan of Owen Hart. And my early memories are just, the matches he had with Brett. Man, they had a lot of incredible matches against each other. The feud with Stone Cold, with Michaels, with Ken Shamrock. Like he had some stellar matches and stellar feuds. And I like to what Coach 23 said, it's just the fact that like I feel like he was very underrated for what he was able to do. Even like being part of like the Nation of
The
Domination.
Nation, I was gonna
Right.
say.
Like even with that was like a stellar thing. And I mean, he's one of those guys where, you know, happy heavenly birthday to him, man. It's one of those what if situations. What if he would have never had that traumatic loss of his life, man? Like his career would have been withstanded for a little while. He's one of these guys that you can only like fantasy book from any eras, and you put him into this era where we have some of these in-ring guys who are incredible, like a Danielson, a Kenny Omega, and you could only imagine the magic they would make in the ring. It was just one of those sad situations. But I mean, he's just one of those guys. I feel like when you think of the word underrated, he comes to mind. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't get. It's not us just saying he's this damn good because he lost his life. Like he was just this damn good at this professional wrestling thing.
Yes.
And it is one of those things. Like if you are a fan that you know didn't get to watch the 90s, a new fan, you know, open up the Peacock, man. Look up matches. Go on YouTube. Look up some matches. Google. Do your history because you'll see a guy that can really go in the ring, but also be great. There's a character on it, and yeah, man, it's crazy, man. Like I'll never forget when just the traumatic loss and whatnot, and
Yeah.
being young and hearing about that, like it's wild. But man, respect to him, man. Happily heavily birthday to him, and yeah.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you. And I love the way you had that tribute too, because to your point, it's so true. It's easy in some ways to look at it like, oh, what could have been, but do not forget how good what we did get was.
Yeah.
And happy heavenly birthday, like right? Like he underrated is the like if you take away the traumatic, the trauma, all of that, underrated is the number one thing I would say. I think he's one of the most entertaining wrestlers we've ever seen.
The epitome of underrated.
As great as the matches Owen had with talent, when you think of the talent that would come into the company shortly after the tragedy and the matches he could have had, like he had an untelevised match with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was coming in. Jericho, Guerrero, Benoit. I mean, the list goes on and on of talent that he could have had unbelievable matches with.
Yeah.
Just is yeah.
To your point, Coach 23 added, Owen Hart is the epitome of entertainment and technical aspects of pro wrestling. Two guys only come to mind. Besides Owen, Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle. I would add Shawn Michaels and his own brother, Brett. And other than that, I think it's kind of a Danielson. Danielson as well.
Well, the thing with Shawn is I think he's such a star that you forget how good he is as an in-ring wrestler.
Shawn was the definition of the whole package.
Yeah. I think Shawn throws the best right hand in wrestling of anybody of average size of all time. That's one thing about Shawn. That's random side note, but I've just always believed that. It's actually crazy when you go back and watch some of his matches, like to have Undertaker selling for Shawn Michaels' right hand and it looks believable. It is wild to me. But with that, we could talk about Owen Hart for the rest of the afternoon. But that does bring us to the end of the show. We're up against the clock here. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. On behalf of me, Clark, Anthony, Shad, I pointed the wrong directions. That doesn't matter. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow at noon Pacific. That's 3 in the East, 8 UK, 9 a.m. Hawaii. That's 4 a.m. in Manila. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, have an excellent Thursday evening and happy birthday, Owen Hart. No doubt. Have a good one.